I'd like to welcome everybody to the September 2nd meeting of the Milford Planning and Zoning Board. If we could please stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. Thank you. If you could please call the roll.
Mr. Allen?
Present.
Mr. Anderson?
Present.
Mr. Mortimer? Mr. Sadi?
Present.
Mr. Zaharides?
Present.
Chairman Kish?
I'm here as well. We're missing a few. Oh, here we have Mr. Hirsch, if we mark that down.
Mr. Hirsch?
Present. Okay, first order of business is 37 First Avenue, Zone R12.5, petition of Thomas Lynch, Esquire, for a coastal area site plan review for a new single-family dwelling on map 28, block 581, parcel 15, of which Neil McComiskey is the owner. The applicant has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. For the record, my name is Thomas Lynch. I'm an attorney with the law firm Lynch, Trim, Mickey, and Boynton, and my office is located here in Milford at 63 Cherry Street. And I have the pleasure tonight of presenting this application to you on behalf of my clients Jillian and Neil McConaughey. They were coming up from Greenwich and got caught in traffic, so I don't think they're going to make it, but their architect who has designed this beautiful home, Robert Dean, is here with me tonight to assist making this presentation to you. So 37 First Avenue, just a little bit of background. The property consists of about 1.6 acres. It's on the far westerly end of Bayview Beach, and arguably it's one of the most spectacular pieces of property on the Milford shoreline. 1.6 acres with direct waterfront access. The property was owned by Bruce Corella for many, many years. Bruce was the owner of Port Milford, passed away a few years ago, and my clients purchased the property in 2024. Currently on site, if David has the existing conditions map up, currently on site is a beach cottage style house consisting of some 2,800 square feet that was built in 1912. As I said, the Corella family resided there for some 45 years, and my clients have now bought it and have retained the services of Robert to design this beautiful house that we're presenting to you tonight. The property is located in zone classification R12. It's in the AE zone. The existing house was partially in flood zone VE, but it will be demolished, and the new house, as well as the two accessory structures on site, are all going to be constructed in the AE zone. The plans have been reviewed by the zoning office. The height of the building is some 27.5 feet, so clearly it meets the zoning requirements to be a minimum of no higher than 35 feet. And the first floor level improved area will be 14 feet over the ground level. So again, that meets the VE zone standards. If you see from the existing conditions, the house is located at the end, sort of where there's a curve on First Avenue coming off of Welch's Point Road. So you go in First Avenue, at the end of probably a 150-foot stretch, there's a driveway that is used by the property owners to access the property. They're going to continue to use that driveway. There's a second access that's shown on the plans coming in off of Lawrence Court. The city engineer reviewed the plans. He asked Bob Weway from Codaspoti to revise the plans to provide for an apron on that access way, so that was done. And also, since it's so narrow right there where First Avenue comes in and meets Lawrence Court, there'll be no parking allowed in that driveway area. It's actually a requirement, and David in his report is going to cite 4 or 5 conditions that the city engineer had in his review of the plans, and one of those conditions is that the access driveway off of Lawrence Court not be used for parking. The parking will be at the sort of easterly end of the property where the 2 accessory buildings are. There's going to be a pool house and then a golf simulator building on that end of the property. There's a sports court, tennis and pickleball court to the far northern end of the property, and the main structure, of course, the residence, is going to be located on the shore side of the property. David can scroll to the elevations. Actually, Robert did supply us with additional pages with the elevations and the floor plans. Codispoti had sort of reduced scale size plans. They were on the website earlier, so there we go. So that gives you a picture of the house. It's going to be a beautiful Nantucket-style shingled house with a wraparound porch, consisting of some 5,600 square feet in gross living space. It's going to have 5 bedrooms. The layout is going to be over 2 floors. There'll be a crawl space on the lower level, so there won't be a finished basement, but that's the house. All right. So other than that, I don't really have anything else further to add. Again, by the time we get to you with these CAM site plan reviews, they've been fully vetted by the city engineer and the zoning office, and if anybody has any questions, happy to entertain.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the board? Yes, Mr. Sadi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Attorney Lynch. The city engineer's report has recommendations, and your client would be accepting those if we made a motion
Oh,
to
yes.
approve the conditions?
I'm sorry. I usually conclude my presentation when I make reference to the city engineer's comments that certainly they can be made a condition of any approval.
And the second one is the uniqueness of the property. So if you come off the water, and I'm looking at your plans, there's something about a transformer, an additional parking lot at the area furthest away from the water.
That's correct.
Could you explain that a little bit more, please? What is the transformer for, and the parking? Is that different buildings, or is that same property?
Well, no. If you look, let's pull up the site plan again. So the main house is right on the water. Then there's 2 other accessory buildings. One of them is this pretty cool pool house with a sauna in it, and then next to it is a golf simulator. I mean, it's pretty wild. Then at the far, I guess you'd refer to it as the far westerly end of the property. That's where the sports courts are, and the transformer is there, and that's going to service everything. And they wanted to have it closest to the UI provided pole access to go to the transformer, and secondly, far enough away from the water so it would never be an issue for safety reasons.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? If not, I'd hear a motion. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is regarding 37 First Avenue. So in R 12.5, I move to approve approve with the following conditions or modifications: petition of Thomas Lynch Esquire for a coastal area site plan review for a new single-family dwelling on map 28, block 581, parcel 15, of which Neal McComsky is the owner. The condition with the applicant comply with the conditions noted in the city engineer's letter dated August 26, 25, items A through D.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, if you would please call the vote.
Mr. Allen?
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson?
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch?
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer?
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi?
With the motion,
Mr. Zahardis?
With the motion.
Chairman Kish?
I'm also with the motion. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Next order of business is a public hearing, closed tonight. Vote by October 21st, 1357 Boston Post Road, Zone SCD, petition of Chick-fil-A Inc. for a special exception site plan with CAM for a new fast food restaurant with a drive-in on map 89, block 812, parcel 42, of which B33 Milford Crossing LLC is the owner. The applicant has the floor.
Good evening, Commission. Chaz Evans, licensed engineer with Bowler Engineering, offices at 65 LaSalle Road in West Hartford. Here before you tonight as a continuation of last week. I know we had some commission members that had missed the last hearing. And from the last hearing, the update, the main comment we received was to add additional striping to clarify the one-way or the straight lane coming through going directly to the Walmart parking. We have exhibits, if you'd like us to share that has been added and can be part of the final record plan. But again, with tonight's hearing, again, just wanted to share the significant impacts we've made to striping, to the islands, to the pedestrian connectivity to the center as a whole, as part of this new development being added to the overall center, adding a business and making a lot more clarity to the intersection we're all familiar with there. Along with that, really just wanted to open it up to any additional questions you guys had, and with that.
Okay, thank you. If you have questions now, if not, we will open up the public hearing to the public to speak, and then we can have questions, more questions after that. Unless anyone would like a question now, we'll open up the public. Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak to the issue, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments relevant to the project and keep them to about 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Teresa Eek. I live at 47 Point Beach Drive. I may have missed a meeting, but I seem to remember there was going to be a letter from Barnes & Noble in support of this. That was supposed to be part of the documentation.
I believe that's on the website.
Oh, it's on the website? Okay, I may have missed
Am I
that.
correct, Mr. Sulkus?
They submitted some correspondence from Barnes & Noble.
Is it on the website for this?
It should be, yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, and it's in support?
It was written by their attorney.
Okay. Not sure what that means.
They
but-
did not state an objection.
Okay, okay. And from what I understand, and again, I don't know all the ins and outs, obviously, planning and zoning, but this is a special exception to have a drive-through in that whole plaza area, correct? Because there are no drive-throughs.
So we really don't really go back and forth, but
Right.
I will ask Mr. Sulkus to address that when he talks about
Okay.
the whole project.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that this may be the first drive-through, and there could be other drive-throughs that are added to that whole area and sort of make it into a whole, I don't know, drive-through food court, I guess. And I'm just not sure that we really need that. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hi there, Sarah Bromley, 27 Norway Street. I came before to, sounding kind of anti-chicken. I wanted to come, because when I was listing all the places we have chicken already, and I wanted to come back and say I'm really not anti-chicken. I'm pro-chicken. I like chicken, and maybe we do need more chicken. I have an issue with the space that's being proposed. Don't think the plan sounds like it's problematic, and I wanted to offer some suggestions for other spaces. Just driving the section from Barnes & Noble down just past Costco, there are at least 4 or 5 spaces that look just as large, if not larger. You've got, well, of course, right across from Cane's is the Boston Market space and the Subway space, which I personally think would be really cool to have like chicken, like not chicken wars, but just hey, if you want to try both, put them right across from each other. I think that'd be really great. Milford could be on the map in the state for destination chicken. And then you go a little farther, Pilgrim Furniture has plenty of space on the right of their parking lot. Well,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's sort of,
this is beyond the point.
yeah, it's kind of like, this is the site, this is what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Thoughts about that, ideas about other places is not really,
That's not
this isn't
relevant,
the
okay.
forum.
But it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
But thank you.
Okay. Well, my favorite place would have been the front of Hobby Lobby.
okay. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, would you like to rebut?
We can, just for the record, we can hand out the plan that does add the extra stripe, just
Sure.
again, so it's in the record. Just to provide context in terms of the history of the project, and the Barnes & Noble letter was within the packet. That letter was from 2021. Again, just to give the commission, you're seeing it tonight, you've seen it previous months. This has been a long process to get to this point with a lot of input from several stakeholders. And again, Barnes & Noble's had the ability to review the plan and reviewed it saying, as part of their lease, as part of their documents, they don't have any issues with the plan. So again, if they would have had an issue, that would have been the place for them to raise it. And that's part of what, was shared with them. So again, the improvements that have been made, we look to just, again, improve the center as a whole. And the drive-through that is part of the special exception is also, again, as the shopping center as a whole has the bank, has the Sonic, has other drive-through uses. So it's not really out of the context or character of the shopping plaza as a whole. So with that, again, I'll hand out this plan to make it as part of the record, but open to any other questions that you may have.
Go ahead, you could hand it out. Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Mr. Sadi?
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a statement to make first. I have some questions of the speaker. First, I attended the meeting that we took place, the first meeting. I reviewed the MGAT video of the meeting, and I specifically recall Attorney Nuff indicating that those of us that decide to look at that, if we weren't there, can see that. We now have new paperwork. Additionally, the materials that you just provided to us, those appear to be documents that you were referring to, and I believe you were the gentleman speaking during the presentation 2 weeks ago. So that being said, I believe that I have all the materials that everybody would have had to be able to make an intelligent choice. I do have some questions, however. The material that you just handed out to us today, is it any different than the material you kept referencing 2 weeks ago in the August 19th, 2025 meeting? And specifically the traffic pattern leaving the area of the drive-through, and there's a right turn, and then there's going to be a barrier, basically, the way I listen to it, and then you have to take a right to get out. Is the material that we're seeing now changed at all? It's the same thing you talked about August 19th.
The material you see now, the change from the August 19th was that we added the additional striping to Commissioner Hirsch's comment. In terms of the islands, the landscaping, the traffic patterns, those have been the same that was presented at that hearing.
Okay. Second question I have, and I remember a lot of the discussion, but it was a lot of information to get. And I know that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. But why can't this project have only one drive-through window? Therefore, there's only one way for people to go. That would be the far right, the far outside as you look at it, as opposed to two?
From a drive-through window standpoint, there is only one drive-through, and it's actually a drive-through door. There are 2 lanes serviced by one drive-through door.
Okay, that was my mistake in using the proper language, but why are there 2 lanes as opposed to just one lane with one door or window, whether the people can get the food?
Sure, and I can have John Martinez from Chick-fil-A speak to more of that, but again, over their process, Chick-fil-A has found that the double drive-through model and the efficiency it creates through getting the customers through the line, really, that's kind of what they've grown over the last several years and how it's evolved in terms of their process.
Hi, good evening. John Martinez with Chick-fil-A, Development Manager, and again, been in this role for about 11 years. So Chick-fil-A has implemented this, what we call a dual ordering, dual fulfillment lane technology for quite a few years now. This facility would match some other ones we've done elsewhere in Connecticut. And the reason for that is it really handles the bottleneck that a typical window may have. By having the cars no longer merge, when there's 2 lanes, they no longer merge, we're able to more efficiently process those orders. And what we've seen just basically are significantly less queue or less stacking in the drive-through lane. Still selling the same amount of food, servicing the same amount of customers with a significantly less queue.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, I have no further questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions?
So just to be clear, the clerk, cashier, whatever, would just walk the food to the second lane? That's how it's delivered?
That's correct. Our team members would walk to both lanes. And for the board's knowledge, the area is well signed, well striped. There's areas where they can walk and not walk that are separate from the cars. And again, just for all intents and purposes, the cars are moving through there at a nearly 0 speed. And so this facility like this, we've done literally hundreds, if not thousands at this point throughout the country. And we're very confident that our protocols are good protocols, safety protocols are good protocols, and that they'll be followed.
Thank you.
Any further questions at this time? Without objection, we will close the public hearing, and we can, if you have a question, you can ask it. We can still make statements after that, if you'd like, personal statement. David, would you like to speak before the public hearing closes? No. Okay. That's a good question. All right, so
Could I raise?
Yes, you can.
Amy Suchins for the record. Given that we need a 7-member vote, and we'd ask that if you're closing the hearing tonight, that we postpone any vote until such time as you have a full board.
Does anybody object to that?
I object to that. That could be a year from now. This is fresh in our minds. We've had this in front of us for multiple weeks. The public hearing's closed. We should just vote. There's a 7 board member is a full board. We have a quorum. You know, there's no specific date that we know that we'll have 10 people here.
Okay. Anybody else have?
I believe Mr. Alling is correct. We could be here till March until we get 10 people on this board all at the same time. We're here to vote. We represent the public. We can vote. Anyone else want to weigh in? Okay. We will have a motion and a vote. Okay.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. I'd like to make a statement, though, and anyone else can make a statement. I've said this at each meeting. There are a number of things that I have experienced having been at this site and having looked at the drawings and trying to conceptualize the traffic flow. And a few things that I've mentioned over and over again is I don't I'm really not enamored with the idea of people parking either to work at the bookstore or work at Chick-fil-A or going to Chick-fil-A and they have to walk across a traffic lane. Now, there were, that concern was mitigated by a raised or extra striped walk path and some signage, which was an attempt to mitigate that concern from myself and other people. But I don't think it was sufficient in my mind. I think that having 2 lanes to exit the drive-through and only can go right onto a travel lane is a potential bottleneck. And I've done this before where I've seen applications come in from national companies and I think, that doesn't seem right to me. It just seems like it's going to be a bottleneck. And then I think, well, geez, they know best. They have hundreds of these. And then I go back to buy gas at that same place, or I go, buy coffee at this other place, and it's a bottleneck. My instinct was right. It does not make sense. I think that if you want to take a left out of the drive-through, you have to drive down something that is not a driveway. It's between two parking, park on the right and park on the left. People be coming in and out. Just looks like it's going to back up. If it's backed up into the entrance, that's going to be a backup. I just think that it doesn't function in a way that that makes sense to me, and I feel that very simply they could just do something else. I mean, I'm not going to redesign the project for you, but those are my thoughts and feelings, and I will, open up to the board to share their thoughts before a motion.
Thank you. I was not present at the August 19th meeting, but for the record, I did review the materials, the minutes, and video. I would like to echo the comments of our chair. I have problems with the configuration. The larger issue is the location. When I think about the restaurants that are operated by Chick-fil-A, I think of West Haven, Fairfield, Norwalk, North Haven. They're all in freestanding buildings. What we're being asked to do is to wedge in a restaurant into a space that already has difficulty in accommodating the parking lanes, the travel lanes, the parking. It's difficult for pedestrians. And we know that at present, it's a configuration in this particular parking area that does not work. And so therefore, I'll be voting against the application.
Thank you. Any other?
Mr. Chairman, could I just raise one procedural question? There's been no vote to close the public hearing. I'm happy to address the comments that you've raised. Personally, I did the approval on the North Haven location and can address some of the questions. So
we closed the public hearing without objection. It was not a motion.
There was no motion.
I asked a question, is there an objection? So without objection, we close the public hearing, and that's our standard procedure. So procedural doesn't work.
It was not clear in the audience that happened. So
Okay.
if that's what happened and the hearing's closed, that's fine. I would just like it clear on the record that what you decided was to close the hearing.
It is, and we can have a motion, but if you'd like to speak again before we have a formal motion, then I'll let you speak, and then we'll have a formal motion.
And again, I'm happy to address the comments because I think there's a concern that, as Mr. Martinez noted, is an issue that happens in locations, and frankly, that our team has heard in plenty of other locations. North Haven is in a center with the movie theater. The lanes were actually reconfigured about a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago now, to put in the dual queue because they were experiencing issues with the queuing into the movie theater parking lot. The dual lane addressed that problem. Since then, a Panera has been built in the same center, and the employees that do drive to the Chick-fil-A in North Haven do generally park outside of the immediate vicinity, similar to what you have here. I live in Wallingford. The Chick-fil-A in Wallingford is also set up that way, where the employees park on the other side of the main entrance with the Lowe's in the opposite, sort of basically in the equivalent of the Walmart location. So again, I think this is something where it has been well established throughout Chick-fil-A's procedures that they can operate this safely. There have been no incidents. I will tell you, we spent a long time talking to the commission in North Haven about safety measures, about how those operational questions are addressed. And I'm sure John can talk to you if you want to know about the procedures that go into place with respect to how employees are trained. So I'm just trying to articulate for you that if there are questions that are related to your perception of a safety issue with respect to the location of the parking in the parking lot, we can address all those. So it's just a question for you, because right now, as I hear it, a number of the things you're raising are based on what you think is going to happen, and what we can tell you is based on our experience, it hasn't happened in the other locations that are set up in virtually identical formats.
Thank you. Mr. Sadi.
Thank you very much. Counsel, I believe that you indicated that you would agree to the closing of the hearing, and you did not expect the vote to be tonight. My memory of the comments by Attorney Nuff 2 weeks ago was he seemed to be indicating he wanted the hearing to close tonight. And if there was enough members of the panel to take a vote, I understand that. But just so the record is clear, it appeared that you, on behalf of your client, agreed to closing the public hearing, didn't agree to a vote tonight. I just don't disagree with that part of it. Thank you.
So if we want to close the public hearing, I'd hear a motion and we'll have a vote on it so that there's no confusion.
Move to close the hearing, the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, would you please call the vote?
Mr. Alling,
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson,
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch,
Against the motion.
Mr. Mortimer,
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi,
With the motion,
Mr. Zaharides,
With the motion.
Chairman Kish.
I'm with the motion. So the public hearing is officially closed. If anybody would like to have comments before we hear a motion, if not, well, we can have discussion after the motion. Go ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I was at one meeting, my second meeting. I missed the one in between, but I did review all the materials that were available for the members that were present for the August 19th meeting. Concerns that I still have, and I don't know how I'm going to vote at this particular point, was that the Barnes & Noble minimum required parking lot is going to be impacted by this project. There may be a discussion about the drive-through doesn't comply with 5.1.4.1.3, and I did listen to, and I had a similar concern as the chair did regarding the left-right configuration, getting vehicles out of there. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments, I mean? If not, David, would you like to review the application at all, or just leave it sit? I would then hear a motion.
I just want to make a quick comment. And maybe some clarification from the chair. Is the chair concerned that there's only one right turn exit from the drive-through? Is that the main concern that the chair has?
It is a concern, one of many, and there's many of equal weight in my mind. I'd hear a motion.
This is 1357 Boston Post Road, Zone SCD. I move to approve as presented the petition of Chick-fil-A for a special exception site plan with CAM for a new fast food restaurant with drive-through on map 89, block 812, parcel 42 of which B33 Milford Crossing LLC is the owner.
We have a motion and a second.
I will second.
Any discussion on the motion? I would like to just further explain the reason that I am against this is that we have had a number of meetings, we've had a number of discussions about how this project could be designed with, I would think, de minimis impact on cost, de minimis impact negatively on any other site, any other store, any other travel on this site, with very minor changes that would really increase the traffic flow and the safety. And I've made this statement a number of times and it seemed to fall on deaf ears. And I am confident that this would be one of those cases where if I trust the traffic engineers of the applicant, we are going to have, if not serious safety concerns, at least bottlenecks, and I'm not for it. So, if there's no further comments, we will call the vote.
Mr. Allen?
Against the motion.
Mr. Anderson?
I'm against the motion.
Mr. Hirsch?
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer?
As I agree with the concerns of Chairman Quish and Board Member Anderson, I'm against the motion.
Mr. Sadie?
Against the motion.
Mr. Zaharides?
Against the motion.
Chairman Kish?
I'm against the motion.
Okay, so the motion did not pass.
Next order of business is public hearing, 62 West Main Street, Zone RO, petition of Thomas Lynch, Esquire, for special exception with site plan review for a multifamily dwelling at map 85, block 313, parcel 13, of which West Main Milford LLC is the owner. This is closed by October 7th, vote by November 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, for the record, Thomas Lynch on this application. I'm right here tonight representing my client, Joseph Finta, who's one of the principals of West Main Milford LLC. The LLC is the owner of the property at 62 West Main Street, basically across the street from the Parsons Building. We're before you tonight for a rehearing of a special exception application that we presented to you previously in November. And just for a procedural comment at the start, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have the minutes of the November 19th, 2024 meeting incorporated as minutes of this public hearing.
No problem with that.
Thanks. So, rewind the tape, and I'm going to be looking at Mr. Hirsch as I make my presentation to you tonight. So, if you recall, the board approved, in quotes, by a 6-3 vote in November this application. However, under our zoning regulations for a special exception, it requires a supermajority of the board or 7 affirmative votes. So even though the board voted up, it was technically voted down. And Mr. Hirsch, I know, remembers that meeting well and had encouraged my clients, I think after the public hearing had ended and we were, the board had not taken a vote, so it was in that gray area where there was an encouragement to take a time out and have my client go out in the hallway to discuss the matter with Glenn Houghton, who is his neighbor to the adjoining boundary to the east of the property. Mr. Chairman, you said you can't do that because the public hearing has been closed, so the vote was what it was. But After that meeting, my client did get together with Mr. Houghton. Mr. Houghton was represented in discussions on this matter by Attorney Wynn Smith in Milford, and I'm happy to report to you that the plans that we're presenting to you tonight were plans that were revised to address Mr. Houghton's concerns, and Mr. Smith sent me an email on Monday, August 18th, saying that Mr. Houghton had no objection to this application. So just to remind you a little bit of the gist of the application, on site on this property is a rather dilapidated two-family house that was built around 1875, 1890. The design is to request a demolition of the house and to build 7 units on site. The RO zone where this is located allows for multifamily use with a special exception. It does not provide for any requirement that any of the units be deemed affordable. But if you recall, at that public hearing in November, I offered, irrespective of the zoning regulations, I offered to have one of the units to be designated as an affordable unit under Section 830G of our statutes, that the property be liened for a period of 40 years, so that one unit could be rented and added to the affordable inventory here in Milford at a rental rate equal to a tenant whose income meets 80% of the state median. So I just want to remind you of that point. We did offer to have one of the units, or 14% of the project, designated as affordable. I don't really need to go into any more detail, I don't think, on the gist of this application. I want to focus on what was done to the plans to revise them to address the concerns of Mr. Houghton. And if David can bring the plans up, he's zeroing in exactly what I would ask him to zero in on. Mr. Houghton's concerns were the LP1, the landscaping plan, had rather tall, invasive shrubs to be planted along the easterly boundary between the two properties. Mr. Houghton complained that that would be invasive onto his property. It would also, as they grew, prevent him from really accessing his house to be able to paint because of the very minimal side yard setback that's required under, or it's not required under 830G. So what we did was we went back, and there is actually a legal document that was drafted. Mr. Smith got it to me, and my client, if this application is approved, will be signing it, granting an access easement along that shaded area between the boundary of the two properties. And as well, the shrubs on the westerly side of the fence will be low-lying shrubs. They won't be arborvitaes or anything that will grow to any great height and be invasive onto Mr. Houghton's property. So those were the two items that were of concern, and I'm sorry that it took us 7-8 months to come back with these plans, but Mr. Wassmer has been busy, and long and the short of it is David was accommodating to us by not requiring that the plans go through all of the cycle of the city department reviews. They had done that already for the November meeting. All city departments signed off, the fire department, the police commission, the city engineer had some minor comments, which again, as always, can be made conditions of any approval. But I'm happy to say this is one of those good stories where neighbors did get together and work something out, and that's what we're presenting to you tonight. I'd ask that you approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant at this time? Mr. Sadi.
Thank you. Good evening again, Attorney Lynch.
Yes.
7 units. One is going to be dedicated under the requirements of 830G. I tried to find it quickly for some reason, the maps. Where's that going to be located in the building?
You know, the plans were drawn before we offered that at the public hearing, so it will, all these units are the same, so prior to getting a building permit, we'll designate the affordable unit and have them on the plans.
So we expect, I want to thank you for your gracious attempt. What do you say to 2 units being affordable out of the
Well,
7?
I would ask that the plan be approved as presented to you. You know, as with any small project such as this, there is cost factors and the building costs and what's the return on the investment. And I think that, again, with the fact that in the RO zone, there really is not a requirement for an affordable unit, it seemed to me the board was very receptive back in November when we did make the offer to have 14% of the project affordable.
Thank you very much. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions before we open it up to the public? This is a public hearing, so if anyone from the public would like to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes.
Michael Ranella, 52 West Main Street, Milford. On behalf of myself and other neighbors that I've spoken with, I would like to raise our concerns regarding the proposed changes to the property in question. After reviewing the board's changes to Article 1 purposes amended in May of 25, it has come to our attention that the current proposal for this property appears to go against those stated purposes. The Article 1 purposes that apply here include, and I quote, "The protection of the character of existing built-up areas and the enhancement of the appearance of the community as a whole, the preservation of sites, buildings, and uses of historical significance to the community, the minimization of non-conforming buildings, uses, and lots in existing built-up areas, the control of the form of growth in newly developing areas, and the preservation of open spaces, natural features of the land." The current proposal will add to the traffic of an already crowded downtown by increasing the density to 17.5 units per acre in just this location. The current plan also does not show an allowance for trash or recycling containers. Unless it's been revised, I haven't seen that. If they add in the trash and recycling, it will also decrease the number of parking spaces by at least 2. Concerning affordability, which Mr. Sadi just mentioned, the proposed project calls for 1 affordable unit. However, the City of Milford's own Plan of Conservation and Development from 11 of 23, and I quote, "It is ultimately unlikely that Milford will be able to build its way into 10% affordability. Milford already is in the 58th percentile regarding affordable housing. This proposed project calls for tearing down an historic home. Concerning historic preservation, I quote from this board's POCD of 23, "Where appropriate, create additional historic districts or expand existing districts where there are concentrations of architecturally significant buildings. Encourage architecturally significant properties to create deed restrictions that guarantee the preservation of their properties and structures." I believe Milford has gone in the wrong direction in allowing so many single-family homes to be taken down and multiple apartments or condos put in. This does not actually promote the type of city where people put down roots and raise a family, especially if they're rentals. Most of these are 1, possibly 2-bedroom. Does that promote starting a family, getting involved with the community? It's questionable. It makes for a more transient population. It's for these reasons, along with quite a few others, although I did agree with you about the Chick-fil-A, that I've decided to run for planning and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the audience?
Hi, my name is Joe Simoncek. I live at 61 Governors Avenue. I'm against this proposal. There's a fairly detailed section in our rules, our Milford rules, about this district of RO, and I think in the past people have taken pains to write this rules to help preserve places just like this building. We're going to be they want to tear down a historical building that's in the River Park Historic District. and they, without, they're tearing this building down, but, there could be more uses to this building. They could add on to this building. They could build into the back, preserve the building, build more into the back of the building, but they're instead deciding to tear it down. They're tearing down a building that's dilapidated. Well, we all know that all the historic buildings in our town, at one point or another, have gone through rough stages, and when we have people that care for them, care for our city, they buy these places and they build them up, and they can become show places in our city. And we see this all up and down Cherry Street, which is similar. It's the same RO district right on that stretch. All this buildings on Cherry Street, same thing. They're older buildings. They took the older buildings, they built into the back, they extended more housing, more office buildings, and we're able to preserve some of the character of our city without just tearing things down, and still being able to give more use for the land. I disagree. I don't see anywhere in this RO for a exception rule that it's going to be all residential. I don't see that in here. I'm not seeing it. It's a long document, but all the exceptions, none of them are just to have residential buildings. So I think that's all I would say. I would like to see this building preserved. Having this, I clearly don't think this architecture adds to the neighborhood. Everyone else is going to see on this is a blank wall, right? Now we have a nice building. It's inviting to people. It's got a nice front porch. It's got nice architecture. What the city is going to be looking at now is a blank wall. It might as well be a warehouse. So I don't think it's goes along with the character of the neighborhood, and I think it should be rejected.
Thank you.
One more, just one thing, and this is in a single-family residential neighborhood, so I would ask you to at least look at the lighting. I know that if this was in my backyard, I would want the regulations talk about that the lighting shall be, not invading on other people's property. So I invite you to at least inquire about that and make sure that that is proper. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi again. Teresa Eek, 47 Point Beach Drive. Always in favor of there being more housing for people who are working in our community and not making tons of money. I know people who live in the Chase apartments, which are right next door. They're lovely apartments. They don't seem like they have an ugly face on the street. And I'm just curious about whether or not the Historic Preservation Society is interested in preserving this house. Because if they're not, and somebody else isn't interested in buying it and keeping it for the way that it is, perhaps we should make it into housing for more people, and certainly for people who can't necessarily afford to live elsewhere. And I think renters actually do add a lot to our community. I know I've spoken to you before about a friend of mine who was renting her apartment for over 17 years before they kicked her out so that they could renovate it and triple the rent. So renters are a very important part of our community, and they're not less than homeowners. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hi, Donald Hill, 53 Coolidge Road. Reason why I'm up here is that nobody's really brought it up, but the Wasson ball field's right across the street. And kids are there, the farmer's market's there, it's always crowded, it gets crazy. And now with this being a 7-unit area, you're putting 13 more cars that are gonna be coming in and out almost parallel to where it's coming out of Parsons. It's gonna cause a log jam, and it's a little scary with the kids being around. and there's no walkways or anything like that. So it's just something that scares me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Bromley, 27 Norway Street. I kind of wish we could have some kind of community gathering where we could get all the people who come, we alternate, people who are against, people who are for some more housing that people can afford, it costs less than 30% of their income, and just say, you know, is there any kind of housing that y'all be okay with? Because we're not getting anywhere. My daughter would love to be able to rent a place. There are a lot of people I know, almost everybody I know who's my age, if I say, how many of you have adult children living at home? Like 9 out of 10 hands go up. And not all of those people are happy in those situations. So I just don't see that all these reasons that are being brought up continually, I think they're being made by people who have housing. Like, when are we hearing from people who don't have their own housing? I think it's it's fine to be against something that you already have, because you're fine, but think about it from someone else's perspective, if you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to rebut? Would you like to speak, then come up?
Oh.
Yep.
Good evening. Andrew King, 32 Cedarhurst Lane. I want to thank the board for your service. The city of Milford greatly appreciates the time and effort that you give. I just want to say that a vote for this plan is not a good vote for Milford. This is a historic home. I don't care if it's on a historic list or it's even in a historic district. This house was built in 1890. It's part of Milford's history. To replace it with 7 townhouse, 1-bedroom units stuffed into that lot is a travesty. This, 1890 we're talking about. Cars weren't available in America until 1898. And since we're talking about cars, it's parking. Now, you're gonna put 7 units over there. They're gonna have friends. They're gonna come over. They're gonna park in the street. Wasson's not gonna be available for a lot of parking soon. It's gonna be packed because they're putting the health department building on top of it, making that even worse over there. Now, we talked about the townhouse style. Putting that in that street, there are wonderful historic homes over there, beautiful looking. This one included. I don't care if it's dilapidated, it's a beautiful home. You're putting a raisin in my rice pudding by throwing that house on there. And we're not even talking about the burden that we're putting on city utilities. Sewer pipelines over there have not been replaced. Every time they've been fixed, they've just been relined. And when they get relined, they get smaller. Now, I'm a real estate appraiser. I follow the real estate trends. I know what's going on in the state of Connecticut. I specifically know what's going on in Milford for sure. In 2024, the median rent for a comparable rental space such as these was $2,200. So far in 2025, that median price is $2,200. The trend on housing is changing. We're at the beginning of it. It's only going to go down from here. There has been a 4.5%, per MLS, a 4.5% decrease in the amount of rentals that have closed from year over year. Also, there is currently 80 active rental listings on the market. That's just on MLS. A lot of people don't put all their rentals on MLS, so there's even more. And they have a days on market median of over 30 days. If these apartments are so well needed, then that should be a much lower number and there should be much less active rentals out there. Now, I hope you guys will do the right thing. The majority of Milford does not want dense multifamily housing. We're done with it. This is a residential place to live. We do not want to promote transient living here. They're here today, they're gone tomorrow. If you want to promote living in town, promote single-family housing for sale. Let's stop catering to renters. Let's start catering to people that want to invest in our community and be part of it. Thank you very much.
Would anyone else like to speak before the applicant has a right to rebut? Seeing none, rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of specific items to bring up in rebuttal. In terms of the garbage, the gentleman that talked about, I don't see dumpsters on site. We will be providing private service, as in many of these townhouses that have been built over across Milford. So each individual homeowner will have a recycle bin and a garbage bin, and there'll be private service to replace that. So that's a specific item. And then I have to comment on the gentleman that said it's unlikely that Milford will reach a 10% affordable housing stock. I mean, what's the purpose of having the law in the first place? I mean, that's like saying the tail is wagging the dog. If we don't add inventory or encourage developers to add inventory, then yeah, we will never reach that number. But I think that this project, located in the downtown area, located in the residential office zone, where a special exception had already been approved for this site back in 2008 to allow it to be 100% residential, and its proximity to 4 other two-family houses on that stretch of West Main Street, as well as some 22 units in the former Spinnaker property, I don't know, the Milford Chase or whatever it's called now. I mean, this is clearly a site that lends itself to downtown infill development. The renters in these units will be walking the walkway behind Parsons to go right to the train station. It's an ideal site. And I disagree with Mr. King. Milford should be encouraging any type of housing, not just single-family residential. There's one subdivision that has been developed here in Milford in the last 15 years. I handled it out on West Rutland Road, Willem Court. There's not land available for subdividing and building single-family homes. So that it is a way of life. It is the reality of life that there's a great need for rental income, and this project, I think, just blends itself with so many of the other ones that have been developed downtown. So I'd ask that you approve this. Thanks.
Thank you. The microphone is open for anyone who would like to speak directly to what the rebuttal was, and then the applicant will have the final word. If someone would like to address what Attorney Lynch said, please come to the mic. If not, are there any questions of the applicant at this time before we close the public hearing? Seeing none, and without objection, we will close the public hearing. So I would hear a motion. Mr. Sadi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This is regarding 62 West Main Street, Zone RO. I move to approve with the following conditions. Petition of Thomas Lynch Esquire for a special exception with site plan review for a multifamily dwelling at map 85, block 313, parcel 13 of which West Main LLC is the owner. The condition would be that one of the 7 units be dedicated to 80% of the standard 830G as agreed to by the applicant.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. One thing I'd like to say is that this is a place where we have decided that we want offices and residential. It is in the neighborhood. It is there to stay. There's a factory on that street. There's commercial property. Obviously, the city building is just across the street. This is a transportation-oriented district. It is exactly what we vision for this area, and I strongly support this. And I know there are people that are not for any apartments anywhere, and so this comes into that category, definitely. But there is a housing crisis, some people say, situation where there's not enough housing in the country, in the state, and in Milford. Adding housing to the stock puts downward pressure on costs. Also, when you include an affordable unit, we are, in general, helping affordability in Milford. And as a transportation-oriented design district, it is really the exact thing that we want to do, and is supported by our conservation and development document. So, any further comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I do plan to support this motion. I agree with your assessment that it's well suited to this area. I just wanted to address the concerns that multiple neighbors had about renters maybe being more transient than homeowners and maybe not being quite as valuable as neighbors. And the reason I wanted to address that is because I think you're talking about me, because I rented an apartment on West Main Street when my wife and I first graduated college. We could not afford a single family home by any stretch of the imagination. And we spent several years living on West Main Street in what I thought was a very nice apartment that was affordable for us before we could save up enough money to move into our home now where we live in the 4th District. I think we're delightful, and I don't think that renters are in any way less valuable as neighbors or as residents. Certainly within my district, which is the 4th District, I represent people who live in single-family homes and condos and apartments, and all of them are equally residents that I value and that I think we should all value. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Shadi?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. In addition to the comments that were made by the members of the public, statements made by Attorney Lynch, he did put into the record, some of us may not have read it all, I did. The comments and activities occurred back in November of 2024. I made the motion to approve it. It was not granted eventually, but I still take the same position. It is a difficult choice we have to make. I asked for another apartment being designated as affordable, and I suggest that appropriately Attorney Lynch, on behalf of his client, said one is all we're proposing at this point. But I am in favor of this particular motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comments? Yep.
I support both sides of this argument, actually. I think historic housing should be preserved, and we definitely need more affordable housing. So I would ask for an explanation or of the Milford Historic Commission. In our notes, there's an ordinance where the possibility of a certificate of appropriateness is possible. Could I get a clearer explanation of that, please?
David, can you explain
Yes.
what Judge Hahn is interested in?
Yes. If the board approves this project tonight, it's just but one step that occurs in the permitting process. After, and if this board approves it, before the applicant can procure a zoning permit, they do need a certificate of appropriateness from the Milford Historic Commission. And you'll probably hear from the applicant that they may or may not agree with that, but that is for a different body to argue with. You are limited to what you are statutorily required to do, which is to evaluate this under your regulations, and then any other regulations that the applicant falls under after you, they'll have to deal with. And if they can get their certificate or they don't need a certificate, that's for others to decide.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sulkus.
Okay, any further comments from the board? If not, I'd hear a motion. I'm sorry. So we have a motion, a second. We've had our discussion. I would ask you to call the vote.
Mr. Allen?
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson?
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch?
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer?
With the motion.
Mr. Sadie?
With the motion.
Mr. Zaharides?
With the motion.
Chairman Keesh.
I'm also with the motion. Thank you. Good luck. Next order of business is a public hearing, 1725 Bridgeport Avenue, Zone CDD2, petition of Megan Miles for a special permit, site plan, and CAM for the reconstruction of an existing gas station with a new convenience store on map 18, block 5, parcel 12, of which Petroleum Market Investment Group LLC is the owner.
Great.
Applicant has the floor.
Terrific. Thank you so much, everyone. For the record, well, I'll start with who I'm not. I'm not Megan Miles. I am Megan's partner, Jay Klein at Carmody Law. Megan and her family welcomed their third child to the Miles crew a couple of months ago. So you're unfortunately stuck with me tonight, but I'm going to do my best Megan impression, and we'll get through this. I am here tonight on behalf of PMG, represented by Mr. Chris Decree, who is in the audience, just raised his hand. Our lead project engineer, Jesse Coakley from Colliers, is also here to answer any questions that you folks may have. Of course, here to discuss the revitalization of the gas station at 1725 Bridgeport Avenue that Mr. Solkis has brought up on the screens here. The property is just shy of an acre, and it's located in the CDD2 district. It's got 3 frontages on River Cliff Drive, Bridgeport Avenue, and Karima Avenue, and has been a gas station since sometime, I think it's 1937 was when a gas station was first located at this site, so almost 100 years. The current configuration, or the site that's on the configuration that's on the site today, which you see on the existing condition survey, has been there since 1986, so just about 40 years. 10 fueling stations under a canopy and a convenience store. PMG purchased the property in 2022, and we think it's time for a refresh that not only will make it a better site to operate, better site for customers to experience, more conforming with the zoning regulations that are applicable to the site today. The site plan that you see before you and that we've put forward will result in the construction of 8 pump stations for a total of 16 fueling stations. We'll be increasing the number of on-site parking spaces. I believe there are, 6 or 10 there today. And we'll be increasing them, there's 6 spaces there today, we'll be increasing to 19 on-site parking spaces. The convenience store that's there today will be replaced with one that's just above 4,000 square feet, and 4,600 square feet. And another key feature that we see in the site plan, and our engineer can speak more to this, is the shifting of the curb cuts that are on the side streets further to the south, which we think, and our traffic study bears out, improves efficiency and safety. Also, orienting the canopy horizontally, as you see on our proposed plan, rather than the vertical orientation that, if you go there this evening or went there this afternoon, that helps to improve site flow and circulation as well. I think another kind of headline of this project too is the significant amount of on-site landscaping that we're proposing. Evergreen trees along the south of the property line, continuous plantings and new shrubs around the street frontage really will be an enhancement to the site over what's there today. I do want to bring up Mr. Coakley briefly. We're happy to go in as deep as you all would like, but there are some important engineering components that we wanted to just bring to your attention. And then, of course, happy to answer any questions or comments that you or anyone who's in attendance for this application may have. So, Jesse, if you want to come up here briefly.
Thank you, Jay. Good evening, everyone. Jesse Coakley with Colliers Engineering and Design. Jay kind of touched on a lot of
Yeah, where is Colliers, the address?
So we have an office in Madison, Connecticut.
Okay. And the street address for the record?
I'll have to get that for you. My office, I'm covering for someone tonight.
Okay.
My office, I can give you my office address.
That's fine.
300 Tice Boulevard, in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey.
Okay, thank you so much. So we just have something for the record. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you. So, as Jay mentioned, one of the key components of this redevelopment, as we see it, is really the enhanced site circulation and layout. So, with that, we are keeping the 2 curb cuts on Bridgeport Avenue as they stand today, but by rotating the canopy 90 degrees and the fueling positions, it allows us to get a couple extra fueling positions in there, but a little bit safer to make the maneuver when you're coming off of Bridgeport into one of those fueling stations and then, presumably back out. Also, what we typically try to do with these PMG gas station sites across New England everywhere is to increase the width of the drive aisles around the fueling stations. So you can see those are 30 feet wide here on both sides and on the ends. And then we try to increase the space between the fueling positions. So you can see the columns there are 32 feet on center, which would allow for cars to easily, the word that traffic engineers use is comfort, right? It's comfort for you to get in there, pull in, you're not squeezed in, you're not gonna open your door and hit someone coming around the other side. And then it gives plenty of space for people to park in those upfront parking spaces up against the convenience store and not have to be backing into vehicles that might be fueling and creating a conflicting movement there. Jay mentioned we're up to 19 parking spaces, which complies with the zoning ordinance. That includes 13 across the front, 2 of which are ADA accessible, and then another 6 on the side where we also have the trash enclosure located as well as a striped loading zone there as well. The 2 curb cuts on the side streets, both Rivercliff and Karima, are both being relocated a little bit further south so that, again, increased circulation, we have like the connectivity straight through there. It's much better for access to the convenience store and then to the pumps, kind of keeps those things a little bit separated. Additionally, by pulling the curb cuts further south, it pulls them further from the intersection, which is another benefit on the side streets with cars having to get out, and then exit or enter the site for that matter. One engineering area that Jay didn't touch on is the grading and the stormwater. So as he did mention, the site has been in its current configuration since 1986. We were able to work with the city to get some historical documents in addition to an updated survey for whatever was there from a stormwater perspective. There were a couple of existing dry wells, but what they were designed for, how big they were, it was very difficult to ascertain. So we are maintaining the general existing drainage pattern. The site kind of is pitched to the northeast corner, which is the intersection of Karima and Bridgeport. There's a couple inlets in that area now which go to some dry wells. We're going to be removing those as part of the reconstruction and putting in, a full underground system. We are providing water quality treatment, and as the engineer notes in his review letter, we're significantly reducing the site runoff with our stormwater. I think the stormwater report shows that both storm events for both points of analysis are being reduced by more than 50% from a site runoff standpoint. Then from a utility aspect, which is the next sheet in our set, David, thank you. We're bringing lines out to the existing infrastructure in Karima Avenue to service the building. The southeast corner there. In the engineer's letter, I believe he mentioned that the standard for the town for a commercial is to do an 8-inch sanitary service line. In our experience, that's pretty large for what we would need. We're proposing a 6-inch. I think he mentioned in one of his comments we could supply a waiver that would be sufficient, so we would agree to that along with the other, I think, 4 or 5 general comments that he had. We have no problem complying with those as well. And then the last sheet in the set, which Jay touched on, or the next sheet in the set, which is the last set I'll kind of give just the overview, is the landscaping plan. You can see along the rear we are proposing, a screen wall of evergreen trees, green giant arborvitae. But then there are some select plantings around the trash enclosure at each of the kind of internal islands. We're going with some shade trees some lower lying shrubs towards the front. Obviously, we want to respect site distance. You can also see the property line is kind of squared off. Obviously, beyond that is subject to the DOT, so we're not proposing any landscaping in that space. And I think the engineer did mention in his letter that there is the, I'll say, decorative kind of sidewalk that is along the frontage of Bridgeport there. It's not our intention to disturb any of that, but of course, if during the course of construction we were to, we would replace it in kind to match the pattern that's there with the inlaid brick and things like that. I can also speak to the architecture of the building. If you want to open those plans, David, that would be a huge help. Thank you. I wonder, are they tagged on the end of our set there? They may be in our site plan set towards the end there. Oh, there you go. So this is just the gas canopy elevation. This here is the building. So you can see we have the primary entrances are oriented towards the sidewalk. So kind of the front, here's your front elevation facing the north Bridgeport Avenue. You can see the building design provides horizontal and vertical articulations that align with the materials proposed in scale. The openings, we have bump outs and recesses to create a mixture of texture, shadow lines, and solids and voids as well. The building will have a significant amount of transparency. Obviously, you can see the windows there. We have more than 50% on the front face, and then on the west elevation, which again will face Karima there, has another, I think 44% of that elevation as well. The colors you see here, general gray, silvers. We have the wood system there, cedar, black kind of canopy, black parapet cap as well. And you can see the rough dashed outlines of the roof equipment, which would be screened by the parapet wall completely of the building as well. So none of that equipment will be visible from the streets as well. That's kind of the general overview. Again, as Jay mentioned, happy to get into the weeds on any other questions you might have or plans or information I've shared so
Great,
far.
thank you very much. Is there any questions at this point, Mr. Shaddy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. It's hard to see all the plans, but at the present time, there is a public bus stop right on Bridgeport Avenue, and it's unclear. Is that going to be replaced?
That is
the shelter?
That is not proposed to be touched as part of our application.
Okay, thank you.
We're looking to maintain that.
Secondly, what about the tanks? Are the tanks being replaced?
The tanks are going to have to be replaced. We're showing their new location in the northwest corner. That's where they will be. So those plans for the fueling and everything haven't been developed and submitted to the agency yet. That would come after this step, and obviously a copy would be provided to the city.
Okay, and then the last question I have for you, I go to this place regularly, so if you're looking at the document you have on right now, the far southeast or southeast corner is blank. That's where they have a bathroom at the present time. They have an air pumping station. What's going to be going in there? It's just going to be open space?
So in that space there, that's just going to be green. You can see we tried to locate the utilities to not disturb those existing mature trees that are there. That's going to be there. On the opposite side where those pumps are, I think you can see we have the last parking space by the trash enclosures in the other corner there, David. Yeah, that's where we have the air pump, and the vacuum, will be by that space.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Hirsch.
Good evening, great presentation. I've seen some gas stations where they have like pillars coming from the ground to prevent vehicles from entering the store itself. Maybe I missed it. Does this have that?
It does. You can see the string of dots in the front there. Those are going to be bollards for exactly that reason.
Bollards, yeah.
We are proposing what we found is it's just much cleaner if the curb is flush there, and then we put the bollards to prevent, the cars from coming in. So that's exactly what we have there. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson.
So the background on the sidewalk is that it was part of a state grant that was obtained by the House Speaker, who represented the area. And if you look at the sidewalks that runs up Bridgeport Avenue from where the timepiece is, the clock, for, a few miles, or up until Naugatuck Avenue, that is all part of the design. I wonder if you would detail the lighting plan, please.
Sure. Good question. So that is after the landscape details. Should be the next sheet. There you go. So with any gas station, lighting is paramount for safety. Mostly underneath the canopy is one area of concern. It's a transactional place. Not exactly the same as an ATM, but people are taking out their credit cards, things like that. So that is well lit by canopy lights, which are located underneath. You can see them designated with the letter E on the screen there. As you go closer to the building, most of the other light represented on the site is coming from building-mounted lights. We have different letter designations for those, which represent different levels of output for lumens. So as you get around the back of the building, we have some lower level lights there with the letter D. You can see those are around the 1 foot candle, half a foot candle area. Again, the back of the store doesn't necessarily need to be lit, but it's more of a safety concern. That can be a place for vagrants and activity that we would prefer not to have on the site. So by keeping it illuminated, we prevent that. What this plan doesn't show is this is also going to be filled in with evergreen trees too. Those light levels probably won't even be that high there given the year-round screening that will be there. And then I believe we may have 1 or 2 pole-mounted fixtures, the letter A there on that side, just with the width of the drive aisles, getting those on. You can see, obviously this is a grid on the plan, makes it a little bit hard, but there are these isolux lines, which are kind of these curved lines, which you can kind of see is, the light is pretty much contained within the site. That's our intention. They're LED, dark sky compliant light fixtures. They're fitted with some house side shields on the back side so as to prevent additional spillage, we'll call it, into the right-of-ways. Obviously there is street lighting and things like that, which is not modeled on this plan. This is strictly for what exists on the site.
So let me help you. The regulations are quite clear about spillage, and especially from a commercial structure to residences. So you have residential properties directly across the street on Bridgeport Avenue. River Cliff is a residential street, Karima is a residential street, so you're surrounded by residences. What are the hours of operation?
So the store is 24 hours as it is today.
That's exactly what I thought. And so therefore, I'd recommend that some additional thought be given to the fact that you've got residential neighbors that are surrounding the site.
So there is no spillage beyond the curb line from a foot candle standpoint in all 3 frontages. And then along the rear property line, it's no spillage as well. We could look at some of these lights in the rear and maybe putting them on a motion sensor so that if someone were to go back there, they would turn on. Again, it will be filled in with the evergreen trees, so I don't see it being a high trafficked area, but we could certainly put those on like a motion detector.
For your consideration, I think we have to step off correctly, so appreciate your giving it consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Oh, yep, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I understand, I'm not familiar with this, with the background of this site specifically, but I understand that some gas stations in Milford have ongoing remediation issues with DEEP. I was just wondering if there's anything on this site, remediation-wise, that needs to be taken care of.
So there's nothing that I'm aware of today that has to be taken care of. I think when the tanks are removed, they'll have to do a subsequent investigation and adhere to all the permits, that might be needed for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing, so if the applicant is done for now, we can open it up to the public. Okay, if anyone would like to speak to the issue, come to the podium. You would state your name and address for the board.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Ice. I live at 25 Holbrook Street in Devon, Walnut Beach. And my question is there going to be any electric vehicle recharging stations?
Question, I'll ask that to the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Also, I was at first horrified that it would be open 24 hours, but I do think that in that area, perhaps something like that is needed on a 24-hour basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Sarah Bromley, 27 Norway Street. I am right by that. I go by that like a couple of times a night, and I also have no problem with it. And think the 24 hours. I have friends who live right near there, and they don't have a problem with it. And with those adjustments for light and that kind of thing, and those evergreens, and the consideration seems like it would be helpful to have something that is open 24/7 in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you. If there's no more comments, the applicant has the right to rebut.
Just thank you neighbors for your comments. Thank you all for your questions and comments too. Certainly amenable to that motion sensor condition in addition to comments that were received from the police commission, engineering department, wetlands, and others incorporated into an approval if you so choose to act favorably on this. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and I was going to personally ask a question about electric vehicles.
Yes. Yeah, so there are no EV charging stations proposed for this location. And I would just echo the other comment that it's fun. When we were outside preparing for the presentation, I said to Chris, I wish this was close to where I live because this is a nice amenity if you need a gallon of milk or something like that late at night. So certainly a convenience and an amenity for the neighborhood. So,
and if there were really quick charging, I mean, obviously people are there to do convenience shopping or fill their tanks, so they're really not, they're long enough for an EV station, but if there were new technologies, I'm sure it would be to your benefit if it was a financially good, it would pencil out. So you'd be open to it if it made sense in the future, I imagine.
Right, yeah, if it made sense. I think to what you're getting at, Mr. Chairman, where you see those successfully operating are offices, apartment buildings, but not these convenience, not gas stations, not grocery stores, not things like that. So, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
If anyone has any more questions, we can close the public hearing. So without objection, the public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
And if there's no further comments, then we can hear a motion.
I have a question. Does the city planner have a recommendation as to the amount of lighting that would allay some of our concerns of spillage onto adjacent
sure.
landowners?
We can sure ask him.
My recommendation is whatever the maximum levels allowed by our regulations to bleed over. That's the standard we use. So in this case, I'd have to go look to confirm that the residences behind it are in a separate zone, but it's either going to be a half a candle or a whole candle. That's what our regulations specify, depending on the situation.
And the applicant is explaining that they are compliant, that there's 0 in the back. Yes, thank you. Any further questions before we hear a motion? I'd hear a motion.
I move to approve as, with the following conditions, the petition of Megan Miles for a special permit site plan with CAM for the reconstruction of an existing gas station with a new convenience store on map 18, block 5, parcel 12, of which Petroleum Market Investment Group LLC is the owner. The condition is the motion activated lights in the rear of the property.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, if you would please call the vote.
Mr. Alling?
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson?
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch?
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer?
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi?
With the motion.
Mr. Zaharides?
With the motion.
Chairman Kish.
I'm with the motion. I wish you luck. It'll be a nice improvement in addition to the neighborhood. Thank you much. Next order of business is 551 Naugatuck Avenue, Zone CDD2, petition of Stephen Bellis for a site plan review for a 6-unit residential development under CSG 8-30G on map 18, block 200, lot 17, of which Arnaldo and Maria Gomez are the owners. Applicant has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, I'm attorney Stephen Bellis. I work at the Pellegrino Law Firm at 475 Whitney Avenue in New Haven, Connecticut. I represent 551 Naugatuck Avenue LLC, which is the owner of 551 Naugatuck Avenue in Milford. You may all know it as the duck pin bowling facility. Arnaldo Gomes is one of the members, and his wife is the member of the LLC. I do these 830Gs all over the state, and usually this one's a lot different than the ones I normally do. This actually almost complies with your existing zone after you did your amendments for the CDD2, so it's very, very close to what you already have. But notwithstanding that, I'll just give a brief presentation, and then I'll have Jim Rotundo, who's our engineer, answer any of your questions or go over a little bit about the particulars of the building and the site. So we've all read that there's been experiencing a housing crisis here in Connecticut. There was a report that was sent to the legislature earlier this year to kind of back up that statement with some statistics. So Connecticut has the distinction of being the most constrained housing supply. We're tied with Rhode Island for the worst in housing. I guess we have a 7% vacancy rate. The report states that they gave to the legislature that we need 110,000 more units. That could be both single family and rental units. And lastly, the Business Association has said that we need 70,000 positions filled statewide, that companies have employees that can't find housing, so they're leaving our state. The report also comments that a lot of companies are a little reluctant to move their headquarters here to Connecticut because of our housing situation. My proposal is not going to solve that. It's only a 6-unit apartment building, but I think every bit helps. The legislature passed 830G in 1990. You're all probably pretty familiar with it. A lot of it is frustrating to commissions like yours because it takes away the local zoning regulations and uses the state statute. The standards you probably know are pretty well that if it's to be denied, it has to be that the commission has to prove it was necessary to protect a substantial public health interest and safety or other matters which you can consider, and that those those interests clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing, and that there was any reasonable changes to the affordable housing development. So that's basically the standard, and I'm not going to dwell on the case law. So in this particular case, Milford is not exempt from 830G. The most recent data I have is that Milford's at 5.36%. It could have changed slightly because this is from 2024, so I can just offer this into the record. So, having got through my 830G speech, let me tell you that what we're proposing is a site plan under 830G that has 6 units. The units are townhouse style, and they would go where the existing duck pin bowling alley is now. So obviously that building will be demolished, and the new units would be put basically in the same footprint as the duck pin bowling. My application is what we call a set-aside development. All that really means is that 2 of the units would be set aside out of the 6. If you do the math, 30% is 1.8. I rounded up to 2. One would be at 60% AMI, the others at 80% AMI. The 2 units would be deed restricted for 40 years on the land records. So this particular project has a garage, parking on the street level with 10 spaces, and then there are 6 2-bedroom units in a townhouse style above it on the 2nd and 3rd floor. The applicant has submitted an affordability plan. I have to do that under 830G, and the administrator would be Mark Nolan. He's been doing it for other towns in our area. I know he does it in Stratford. I think he does it in Shelton. I've been in Fairfield for 2 months. I think he's doing all of them there, so hopefully Milford recognizes him as an administrator that's qualified. The affordable units are obviously going to be spaced out through the building. They're going to be of the same quality as the market rate units, and you won't be able to distinguish the 2. So the duck pin bowling alley has been closed since June of this year. As I said, it will be removed, and it will be replaced with the units that we just discussed. We submitted plans to all the departments in Milford. I have a letter from Wetlands that says that there's no wetlands either on the property or within the 100-foot buffer, so they don't have any jurisdiction. The other thing I'd like to point out is that we have an approval from the WPCA. They had a meeting on August 27th, it was just the other night, and they approved the hookup to sewers, okay? The town engineer has given his comments, and the applicant's engineer, Jim, has addressed all those comments. We've included a drainage report, and it basically concludes that the stormwater runoff will be reduced and the quality of the water will be improved. Any particular questions you can address to Jim. So I think that this petition, as I said before, actually meets the comprehensive plan of development, which 830G doesn't have to, but it does in this town. It does in this case, because under the CDD2, it was your plan was to encourage economic development and housing opportunities. So I think that this petition, even though it is an 830G, would be very, very similar to what you would see under your own zoning regulations. And I would hope that you would approve it. I have Jim Rotundo. He could take you through a couple of particulars. Any technical questions, we'll try to answer for you, okay?
Great, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Rotundo. I'm a licensed professional engineer with Pereira Engineering, LLC. Our office is located at 1 Enterprise Drive in Shelton. The property, as I'm sure you know, at 551 Naugatuck Avenue, currently where the Devon Duck Pin Bowling alleys, our lanes are, is just south of the intersection with Bridgeport Avenue. The existing building is approximately 5,500 square feet in size. There's currently no on-site parking or curb cuts associated with that property. The proposal is to demolish that building, and as Attorney Bellis had indicated, to develop 6 residential units, townhouse style, each 2-bedroom. The building itself will be ground level parking with 2 residential floors above. The parking area will consist of 10 parking spaces, include 1 handicap accessible space. There is a ramp from the lower level parking up to the first floor for accessibility up to that level, as well as a stairwell at the front of the building. Of course, to access that parking area, we will be constructing a new driveway from Naugatuck Avenue with a new curb cut. We're also, within that parking area, we're proposing refuse and recycling containers will be located under the building to the rear of the parking area. There is also no site lighting proposed on the site. There'll be down lighting under the building to illuminate the parking area. A landscape plan has also been prepared by a licensed landscape architect. This includes plantings in the front of the building, some trees and shrubs along Naugatuck Avenue, as well as some perennial plantings along the perimeter, around the perimeter of the building. We are also proposing a 6-foot-high white vinyl privacy fence, which will be located along both the side property lines and the rear property line. We've designed a stormwater management system for the site in accordance with the City of Milford stormwater management regulations. This consists of subsurface stormwater structures, which will be located in the front of the building underneath the paved area. This has been designed to reduce both the rate of runoff and the volume of the runoff leaving the site, as well as providing retainage of the water quality volume. Overflow from that system will discharge into City of Milford system within Naugatuck Avenue. There's a catch basin located along our site frontage, which that system will discharge into that catch basin. The building will also be served by public water and sanitary sewer, which are located in Naugatuck Avenue, and as Attorney Bellis had indicated, we were approved for sewer connection by the Sewer Commission the other night. We've also prepared an erosion and sedimentation control plan for the property in accordance with the City of Milford and the Connecticut Deep Standards. As far as the building itself, the floor plan, as indicated, the ground level is a parking area, so the first level or second floor of the residential. Those units will each contain that. On that level, there'll be a kitchen, a living area, and bathrooms. The second floor will contain the 2 bedrooms as well as baths. The exterior of the building will be a dark gray vinyl siding with white AZEK trim, corner boards, trim around the windows, and so forth. It's a gable type roof, which will have gray asphalt shingles. On the end gables and the peaks, the treatment on that will be, as you can see the hatch in those areas, that will be a white vinyl shake. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any outside space for recreation or just a place for the people that live there to be?
We're pretty much close to the property lines. There is areas to walk, but not a designated open space area.
Right, so that's where it differs from the new CDD2. Okay. Brian.
Thank you. How long has this idea been percolating for housing?
We've been putting plans together probably for almost a couple of years now.
Thank you. Could you talk about the grading of the site? Because there's a certain pitch to it. Detail that a bit more, please.
Yes, as you can see on the existing condition plan, right now that building pretty much goes from property line to property line, and it does slope down in the back. The building where we're putting the new building, it's going to remain essentially on almost the same grade. It's going to be pretty flat going across, In the rear of the site, we are proposing a retaining wall to retain that slope going down. So that's how we'll make the grade difference, that transition down to our parking area. Along each property line, what we're proposing is to maintain, or I shouldn't say maintain, but to modify or keep the existing foundation in place, cut it down 1 foot above the existing grades, and then cap them. This way, we're going to essentially keep any runoff from our site within our site, so it won't migrate off or run off onto the adjacent properties. And that's how that grade differential will be made up along each property line.
Thanks for detailing that.
Thank you. Mr. Sadie.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Couple things. If we're looking at the duck pin lane as it is now, the building to the right of it appears to be maybe 10 feet away.
Correct. I believe there's a driveway that runs in between the two buildings.
So my ultimate question is for this, how are we going to get the vehicles around the area that's not going to have even much room for a driveway to get them underneath the building if they're going sideways on either side?
Oh, the driveway entrance is from the front of the building, so it's not going to have to traverse along the side of the building. If you see the site plan, the driveway comes off of Naugatuck Avenue and drives directly into the ground level parking. So the driveways on the adjacent properties will remain as they are.
Okay. I was looking at the affordable housing plan, great job, but one small thing, it's 2 units out of the 6 are going to be affordable housing, correct? So it says 30%, it's actually 33 and 1/3%, I would suspect, 1/3 of it. So again, the numbers can be helpful. Timing, I think Mr. Anderson talked about that, but in the process in the last couple months, were you aware of our changes in CDD2 for purposes of designing this project?
Actually, it wasn't until just recently.
Okay. And the last question I have is where are at least right now, where are the 2 affordable housing units going to be located in the property?
I'm not, do you have that designated in the plan?
So since all the units are the same, it could be any of the 2. It could be any of the 6. It really depends, you know, when they come in and they apply, and then they're assigned to, and they're not always the same, because if somebody leaves, we have to keep it at 30%. So it could be another unit that becomes the affordable unit.
And then the follow-up question is, again, end of the evening, I'm sorry for not having every bit of your document in my mind, but do we have elevators going from the garage up to the units?
No, there are no elevators.
Okay, so we don't have, so we might have an accessibility issue. How would we address that if there's an applicant that has accessibility issues that qualifies under 830G?
Yeah, I think that was why the purpose of that ramp.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the purpose of the ramp.
Thank you very much. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. We'll open it up to the public. You don't have to.
But are you kidding me? Ooh, you know me by now. Sarah Bromley, 27 Norway Street. And again, it's like, I live right there. I'm gonna miss the bowling alley, and I did kind of didn't have a chance to look up, can those bowling alley things be the historical bowling alley, no, be, you know, like given to somebody or whatever too, who might be able to use it for historic duck pen. But no, wondering about, you asked about recreation, and there's no space, right? But it's really close to Walnut Beach. So I'm wondering if about using bikes in Devon more and everywhere more. So I know that's a plus. And just like revitalizing Devon anyway for more walkability, more like it's right next to the post office and pizza place and a laundromat. But if over time we can create Devon into like more than just a couple nail places and tattoo spots, gradually create it. I don't mean to, okay, so I don't mean to make Devon sound like that. It's a lot of great places, but if we can create that kind of like walkable environment where people want to be and just pop in housing on top of every business, it would be cool to be able to bike more around there and have a nicer grocery store there, say. So I am curious about the biking.
Thank you. Any comments about this application?
Once again, Sarah Ice, 25 Holbrook Street, Devon Walnut Beach. I'm very disappointed there is no outdoor space for the residents. It seems like they've squished it. I understand they have to make money also, but I would just like to make that comment. Thank you.
Understood. That is something we put into the new CDD2 regulations, but this is an 830G, so it's out of our bailiwick. Although there is actually the crosswalk to get on the other side of the street on the Post Road, and probably a 10-minute walk to the Liberty Park. So there's a little bit of an area, fairly close. But I do understand the concern. Any other questions or any other comments from the public? Yes.
I am Susan Roth, 57 Crestwood Road. I have a question. I'm just confused a little bit, and maybe I'm missing something. So I see that there are ramps for if someone's handicapped and is in a wheelchair. How are they getting to the third floor is my question. Is that clear, or are they?
I think that the ramps go to the second floor, so if there's a handicap necessity, it will be on that second. So once they get into their own unit, these units are they're like two-story units.
Right.
So once they're in the unit, they'll be on their own to get around inside.
So to get to the third floor, they'd have to
They could
put something in
they
their,
get a stair
in their
lift or
staircase.
whatever they do, that's on their own.
Okay.
Any other comments from the public? Any rebuttal from the applicant? None. Okay, does anyone have an objection to closing the public hearing?
No.
Okay, without objection, the public hearing is closed. David, would you like to give your overview?
The applicant proposes to construct 6 two-bedroom apartments with 10 parking spaces on the site of the existing Devon Duckpin Bowling facility. Both parking and landscaping is provided where none currently exists. With parking provided on the ground level beneath the building, the structure's height is proposed to be 40 feet. A late application to the Sewer Commission is expected to be approved in September, and of course, since I wrote this, it has been approved.
Thank you. I'd hear a motion.
Mr. Quich, this is 551 Naugatuck Avenue, Zone CDD2. I move to approve as presented the petition of Stephen Bellis for a site plan review for a 6-unit residential development under CGS 830G on map 18, block 200, lot 17, of which Amaldo and Maria Gomez are the owners.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Hirsch.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Several months ago, we as a board convened to discuss development along CDD2 zone. And here we are presented the first application for development in that zone. I believe that the applicant has done a very, very good job in putting this plan together. And I just want to remind people that nothing has to be perfect. It just has to be reasonable. Whether you want open space, you want a couple more feet of driveway space, with these applications, we should stop trying to strive for perfection and start striving towards reasonableness. And I think this is an extremely reasonable application, and I am looking forward to voting for it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess we can say that both the applicant's counsel and the individual that designed this project were clairvoyant, because you apparently didn't know what we had. And just so we appreciate the fact that you gave us 33 1/3%. Our change in the zoning regulations said a minimum of 15%. So we really thank you. The project is good. It's sad to see the Devon bowling alley go for those that were duck pin bowlers, but the work we did, as alluded to by Commissioner Hirsch, was to try to get housing into the CDD2 district. And I think it's a good project. Again, we don't have an option, quite frankly, to object to it. We don't see anything that would prevent us, allow us to object to it, but I think that it is a good project as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, please call the vote.
Mr. Allen?
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson?
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch?
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer?
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi?
With the motion.
Mr. Zahardis?
With the motion.
Chairman Keesh.
I'm also with the motion, so we have a lot of new stuff happening in the Devon West Shore area, so welcome, and thank you for your quality presentation, and good luck with your project. One aside, do you have any bowling balls or pins still? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have no old business liaison report.
No liaison report. I didn't attend the last meeting.
Subcommittee report, none. We do have the approval of the minutes is next for the 8/19. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Without objection?
I'd like to abstain on that.
Yeah,
Mr. Sadi will be abstaining also, please.
okay. So without objection, 2 abstentions, minutes are approved. Now, the chair's report, I would have maybe put it into subcommittee, but it's okay as long as it's here. In our package, we have a copy of the CDD3 regulations, and we want to start a discussion on if we should be adjusting these regulations, and if so, how. And we did David, if you don't mind, would you go over the way you prepared this so that I think you'll make more sense out of it than I will?
No problem.
Thank you, David.
And to sort of help in the description, well, I hope it helps, I color-coded different sections. So it started with our current CDD3 regulations, which are just regular, black and white. Then, using as the foundation of introducing housing into this zone, everything in yellow has been brought over from the CDD2. And then, within the yellow, we have blue, which are things that I think people should look at because they will probably need to be adjusted for this zone because this zone is different enough that from the CDD2 to look at those. And again, they're, just because I made them blue doesn't mean that there are other things that shouldn't be made blue, but those are the things that immediately jumped out at me as items for discussion. Items that are in red should probably just be removed because the intent here is to introduce, housing, and it would be assumed that, for instance, the first red item that comes up under 318.1.19 is no residential uses shall be located on the first floor ground level. And that was obviously written for Bridgeport Avenue, and because we didn't want housing on the ground level where there's typically something commercial in the Devon area.
And similar to the MCDD.
Correct, and correct, which that originally came from the MCDD, correct. There is in this zone, you may recall, and we get we'll call it the Kmart site. Can't get around it. The Kmart site is within this zone. There was one exception for housing. It was made for the Kmart site, and that is in section 318.2.14. If we're considering housing here, then we probably don't need, and actually we would have to get rid of that next red section, because that red section said that the only way you can have multifamily housing is if you have a minimum of 15 acres. And when we originally created that regulation, within the context of those times, it was determined there was only one site that could have that regulation apply, and it was the Kmart site. So now that regulation as it exists really isn't needed.
But just to make that clear, that would not affect the approval that's in place for the Kmart site?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So again, you'll see some other red, you'll see some other blue that we should look at. And then I created a green, and that is something that is just being called to attention that just needs some adjustment. So, the first green you come across is, no less than 50% of the dwelling units shall have a balcony at least 36 feet in size. That could be something that we can tweak. It's probably a good thing to have. It should be tweaked in some way. I can make recommendations when we have those discussions. One of the things that has come up since we have approved the CDD2 is we're getting some, I'll call it pushback from developers who were not, I suppose, engaged in the process at the time, but now look at it, and they are looking for alternatives to the 100 square foot of open space per unit, because in a way, depending on the site, it's actually self-defeating and doesn't allow the density that was the intent of the regulations. So alternatives such as having a building that's got a green roof, or providing balconies or private patios for the units, again, depending on the size and the design of the units, would be preferable. So they're not saying get rid of the requirement, just create some more options. So we should look at that as something, and I'm fairly confident we're going to get an application for a regulation change from a developer who wants to see something like that so they can develop what they're working on. And again, you'll just see as you dig farther into this, again, we just need to look at things like floor area ratios, building areas, they're in blue. Again, depending on, how dense we want to make the sites. Again, for this particular zone, just something to look at.
Just clarify again the color coding.
Okay.
Yellow is cut and paste from CDD2.
Correct.
Blue should get special attention in your mind.
Yeah.
Not the only thing, but
correct.
it's just things that lit up on you.
Yep.
And red is things that you recommend we eliminate.
Correct. I can't hear you.
Yellow is the same as CDD2?
Yes. Green is, the green should probably be blue. It's close enough to blue where we have to look at the number in it. The concept is probably fine, but the actual number that's being shown there. Yeah, it has to tweak, yeah.
And blue is new, correct?
Blue is not new, it's just things that popped out when I was looking at this that we should probably look at, that not necessarily get rid of, but, you know, tweak.
So this was, so blue is also cut and pasted from CDD2?
Some is and some isn't.
Okay, so where did blue come from?
My keyboard, it was just a way of...
Okay, giving us stuff to start with, okay.
Yeah, something to start with, yeah.
And it was pilfered from other...
Well, it's either in the zone there now.
Yep.
Or it was something, depending on where it is in the document, imported from the CDD2.
Okay.
But because we're looking at adding this new use, we should look at those.
Understood.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I would encourage board members just to speak up. You don't have to be recognized, just...
David, several locations, the blue has language effective 1/31/25.
Yeah, and that was probably taken from one of the other sections. So it's either probably CDD2 or I don't think we made
But the point is that we didn't agree to anything effective beginning of this year regarding this CDD 3.
Correct.
Okay, just it's if we approve it, then it might be effective a different date.
Correct.
Thank you. It just happened when he cut and pasted it from CDD2 or the Kmart site. It had that language in it.
Right.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Anyone have an idea of how you want to start and go chapter and verse and go through, see what everyone thinks and have a discussion on it? Or do we want to take this and, Etan?
I think I may have cut you off. Can you finish your sentence, Mr. Chairman?
Do we want to go through this chapter and verse tonight? Do we want to digest it and address it at the next meeting?
We're here. The Mets already lost. Let's do this.
Yeah, but the Dodgers are still ready to play, so, no. I'm here for the duration. If we'd like to look at it in more depth now, we can look at 318-119. So this, we have a listing of conditions. And if we want to go through and have anyone, just read it for a minute and see if we think if it's good language, why don't we take a bite from 318-119 to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3 for the first bite. Read that, and anyone that has an idea of whether it's good or bad, we can discuss it. So give ourselves a minute to read it and consider it.
Mr. Salkus, would it be possible to pull up a map of the district we're talking about on the screen?
Sure, I just have to find it. I know I had one made, so give me a second to find it.
Perhaps you could use ChatGPT. That may help you.
It's the, just so you know, it's from the McDonald's in Devon, heading, so that's where CDD2 ended. Then we continue going north or east, however you're looking at it, and we come to the fork in the road. We take a right on the fork and go to like Mr. Max.
Got it.
And that's pretty much the whole thing.
That's an excellent description, but let me, I think I have a map. Let me find it here.
So just as an overview, we have car dealers, we have there was a trailer, they sold like tug-along trailers for vacation type trailers. We've got a scrapyard. The Fairchild trailer is a large site. We have the Stop and Shop site that has potential for, could be a little village, could be something really cool in multiple buildings with residential and restaurants and stores. That's cool. I think the big lift would be the abandoned car yard, the junkyard with the cars. That's probably pretty dirty, but it's got to be cleaned up eventually. And that combined with the Fairchild Sealer's another big site. Going down to the right, we have some auto body. We've got a big, I think, 100,000 plus building that used to be a factory that's now broken up into storage, warehouse, office space. Then a bunch of strip malls, a couple restaurants. But the strip malls could be redeveloped. There's a lot of land behind those on the left. So each one of those sites has potential. One of the things we were thinking about is, you have places where you work and live, right? So we could possibly encourage that as somehow a carrot, It's really walkable, the further you get, once you get to the fork heading east, it's pretty walkable to downtown. The Post Road, not so much, and we could consider the Post Road differently than Bridgeport Avenue, the same way we did Naugatuck Avenue. And I don't know if I like that idea, but we could. They're different, the way they're set up, and their current uses are different.
The expanding Bethel Center is also going to be in that area, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's also Bridges in that area. Yep, Bridges has 2 buildings there, I think.
Thank you.
So that's just sort of an overview, giving David a little bit of time to find it.
Thank you very, very much. I knew I had it. I had to properly file it. It was not where I expected it, but here we have the zone, and it's broken down in this particular map by parcel size, it appears. Yep. So in this case, the dark green is 40,000 square feet and above, so that's slightly less than an acre. Then 30,000 to 39.9, 20,000 to 29.9, 10,000 to 19.99. So if we look here, we will notice it's a majority of the parcels, with the exception of the open space, is at least an acre. And the second most numerous number of parcels is between 30,000 and 39,999.
So David, you said that the 100 square feet per apartment is a sticking point for some of the developers?
Some of the developers who have parcels that are, less than an acre, that, they could do something with. Again, it depends on the layout of the parcel. It depends on, the density. It's been described almost as on the one hand, the board wants density because this is what you want there. But then you're fighting that density, with this 100 square feet.
Yeah, a little bit of quality of life though, too. So I think it's important. I think that, and again, that's just one voice, but
right.
I think the acknowledgement that the pushback comes at 10,000 square feet and 20,000 square feet, but maybe not at 40,000 square feet, because then there's enough room. And I think that to your point, that if we encourage thinking outside the box and not limit it to ground level, you can have rooftop gardens,
Absolutely.
You can have parking with a canopy that you can have decks on, or green space, or you can have balconies. So
Totally.
including balconies, it's a little bit, it is outside space, but it defeats that community thing that we're also trying to achieve, where you have areas where all the people can gather and hang out together, as opposed to just your own balcony. So again, just thoughts, and not saying one is better or worse, but.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I hear what you're saying, except you're talking about rooftops and other amenities, outdoor space. We're talking here the Post Road, the busiest road in our town, where there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of vehicles every year going back and forth. I'm not sure this is the appropriate area for such type of development.
I do understand that, yeah, and good point, because they are different. When you get to the fork and you go down closer to Carvel, you know, there's I don't know, 500 or 600 apartments to the right, and those lots are really large, and so they could, now again, there's the train track there, so it may not be that desirable, but to have some space, I'm not sure how much, and I'm not sure exactly where, maybe, and then the Stop and Shop. So if Stop and Shop wanted to have, you know, 10 buildings with, sort of like the mall came up with a plan, but they did have open space. So something like that parcel could accommodate some open space.
Now I agree with that. I think that is a prime location, that Stop and Shop space, for a large, I don't know, apartments or condos, whatever you want to call it, but a large density housing at that location, especially given its location.
Yeah, and then they could have, and then that's big enough to accommodate some open space and maybe some mixed use in restaurants and, you know, fun stuff. And so that's a possibility there. So I think what we're unable to do is to really, you know, unless there's political will to buy it and develop it ourselves as a city, but to just give a blank slate with enough options for a developer to find it desirable.
Yeah, and I wouldn't discount rooftop amenities, no matter what street it's on. I mean, every big city has, you know, rooftop amenities. Every building being built in New Haven, thousands of units, they're getting all these beautiful rooftop gardens and recreation facilities next to 95 and 91 in the heart of downtown. So that's...
Nashville's got a lot of rooftop bars.
Yeah, and those are all busier places than Route 1 in this section and Bridgeport Avenue. So I don't think that's really a detriment. We should, you know, give them the choice.
Yeah.
Give them the choice.
Right. Interesting point.
One issue with amenity, when I hear the word amenity, I hear jack up the price. The amenities are used as justification by the developers and builders to increase the price per unit and increase the profit margins, which is not something I care about as a planning and zoning commissioner. I care about use, and I care about what's best for the people of the city of Milford and subsequent generations. And when you overload with amenities in various properties, you're building properties where people can't afford to live in.
That's true, but I think the amenities could be very simple in some cases, and we are asking or defining that some of these apartments have to be 830G. So I don't think that would be too much of a detriment.
Yeah, I think offering it as opposed to mandating it sort of addresses it. Right? If you mandate it, then it's going to hurt development. If you just encourage it, or you know, with like height, for example, like we did, you go up higher if you have 200 square feet per person, or I don't know if that's a good idea, but just in general, allowing it doesn't restrict it the same way that demanding it does. So,
Jim, so you asked the question about whether there was a play area for kids on Naugatuck Avenue and what was proposed, and that was right on as far as I was concerned, because when we talk about amenities, one of the amenities that we need to be concerned with is a safe play area for kids from the families that are going to reside in certain locations. And, you know, that was a concern that I had on North Street. And the answer to that Eisenhower Park is across the street, was not the answer as far as I was concerned, given the fact that you have that major state highway with a lot of traffic. There's no easy way to cross from the development that was approved to Eisenhower. So that's an amenity that I would like to encourage.
yeah, and I think we can encourage not just your own space, like a fenced-in area behind each unit, but try to encourage community space, and that creates a more vibrant, larger community to have that connection. So, again, I think that David's instinct is right, that at certain points, and we are seeing pushback where it's just prohibitive to the point on a small piece of property that it's just hard to do, and therefore maybe rooftop is good there, and maybe the outside terrace is good, or individual patios are good. But when we get to larger parcels, I don't know if it's 20,000 or 30,000 square feet, that we want to encourage community space. So just a thought.
Let me just throw something out there just to think about and just, ruffle some feathers for fun because I'm tired. In a way, you're treating these units different from single-family homes. We're not, with single-family homes, encouraging community gatherings in people's yards. If you want to use your yard and invite your neighbors over, great. But, we're not, creating or utilizing or requiring in the single-family zones spaces that are for the public to gather in. If you happen to have the space, great. You're fortunate. And if you don't, you don't.
Well, cluster zoning, that's the density, and the perk there was that you didn't need as much land per unit, but you'd have to have some open space. Now, one place used the golf course, another place used underneath high tension wires.
Yeah.
But so there's always a way around it, and it's got to be available. We're not mandating it. We're providing it as an option. So I think and if we feel strongly as a board, and when the community starts weighing in, we'll listen to their viewpoints as well. And if it becomes something that is a must-have or would love to have, then we work it in. I mean, this is a process where we'll spend some time ourselves with it, then we'll have some public hearings, and we might, listen to any suggestions that you all have about how the process should go and how long we should spend on doing our own thing and how soon we should gather up some input from developers or just the public at large. So I'm here to listen to everybody's thoughts.
I'd like to make two suggestions. One is maybe to reword subsection 1I, which is what addresses the outdoor area. I think that open space essentially in this context should be, permeable space. So I think it could be inclusive of required buffers and setbacks, but not sidewalks and parking areas. That seems like what we had with the application we heard of for West Main Street, I just think that's reasonable for encouraging apartment dwellings, but I still think it's important to have some outdoor space.
Did you get the point? Okay.
The second thing I wanted to suggest is subsection 1J and 3D. I don't know that we need those. That's where it says no residential uses are to be located on the first floor, ground level, or street level of the buildings on Bridgeport Avenue. My personal opinion is that we don't need that requirement. I don't think it's a problem to have residential use on the ground level on Bridgeport Avenue.
I think that's smart. I think when you're in downtown Milford or you're in downtown Devon, you want the first floor to be commercial, but here it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I think you're right. I think that's why David put it in red to exit out.
Yeah, I missed that one, but I agree.
I think another thing we have to consider is any growth in population, which really the population isn't growing as far as I can recall. It's singles and retired people, and these are the people that need the housing, and most of our stock is single-family housing, and that's where people have plenty of open space. So if we require rooftop or balcony or I don't think it's an ultimate need. I think it's more of a luxury, and then we could maybe, it's like it was suggested, to encourage it, but not to mandate it.
Mr. Chair? Yeah. I'd like to make a comment by what Mr. Mortimer said. I disagree with him. I think there is a need. We do not have enough senior housing stock in this town. Excuse me, city. We're a city. Sometimes people forget that. We do not have enough housing for seniors. There are many seniors in this city who would like to downsize and move into some place that they don't rent, but they want to move into a place that they own. Therefore, they can pass it down through generation to generation. I don't see anything here in this proposal that addresses senior housing.
Well, we can. That's why we're here. We do have some regulations, don't we have, David?
Yeah, we have 55 and over regulations. I know we added it to the CDD2, and I don't know if we have it in this zone. I mean, that's an easy cut and paste. Again, what's being discussed is, well, we don't control the market. Clearly if there's a need, and I agree there's a need because I get phone calls all the time for people looking for that kind of housing, basically townhouses, gee, are there going to be any townhouses being built that'll be for sale? And, I have to tell them, no. But we don't have the ability to control the type of ownership. The market determines that. So, the best we can do is get have regulations that encourage, I suppose, particular form factors, whether, if you wanted to go down the road and create, regulations for townhouses, I mean, you can do that. That's what was originally the only thing that could really be built at the mall before we changed the regulations. That doesn't mean that they're going to be for sale. You can, again, all you can do is encourage the form factor, and if someone wants to develop them and sell them, great, and if they want to develop them and rent them, they can do that. We have no control over that.
The only way I think we can control that, I don't think we have that power. I think the one method of controlling that would be through the tax code. I don't know if we could do that through the zoning regs.
Many cities have a quasi-public development agency where they get bond funds and they buy property and develop it under the guidance of an executive director and a board, and then each individual municipality can then have a like a B Corp, and their marching orders are to do just that, promote ownership as well. So it's something that's out of our purview. I mean, in the political realm, we can work on it through the alders and the mayor's office, but for right now, we can just sort of pick one zone at a time and see what, you look at what's there and see what makes sense. It's not going to be, we wanted to do something across the whole city, and there's just, every area is so different. So, what works in CDD3 may not work in, up along the Housatonic River, which could be developed into recreation. And so that could be something we address in the future to promote hotels and recreation on the river, which seems to me to be a no-brainer. But for tonight, we're working on CDD2, and let's keep going. I think that that the 50 feet, I think we can go higher. That's 2, 1. I think that we might want to craft something that makes sure that there's a distance requirement from residential. I think there's a couple of properties, well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's a couple of properties that will back up onto like single-family residential. I know that. Where Bridges is, that backs up on apartments, so that's not going to be redeveloped. but we might need a formula to make sure we don't tower over a neighborhood. Or some of these things we can leave for board approval. It can be, so we don't have to have every single thing written into the code, but we can have the board to, if it's 50 feet but higher upon board approval with special permit or something, so we get extra scrutiny on it. David can weigh in on the best way to do something like that if it's something we want to do. But I think 50 feet is something that we could consider making higher. 50 is what we did in CDD 2, David?
I believe so, because that's cut and paste, yes.
We're still talking about 2I.
My recollection,
Yeah, this is 2 and then subsection 1 under 2.
Right.
my recollection is that we started with CDD 3 at, I think, 60 or 65 feet, and then we had a discussion as a board that resulted in it going down to 50 feet.
Okay, and that was in CDD 2, we went down to 50. I think this is different. I think we have much more single-family neighborhoods next to the CDD 2 properties. This is, I think, we have train tracks, we have huge apartment built complex.
This is interesting because if we look at the map here in Bridgeport Avenue, pretty much everything north of the middle of Bridgeport Avenue, everything along here is bordered by the trains. You've got the train tracks coming through here. So,
And if you look at Fairfield, they have 6-story buildings next to the train track.
Yeah.
And they get $5,000 a month for those.
yeah. It's a location next to highways and train tracks really doesn't seem to affect development or the costs of people who are renting, because through technology and window glazing and all sorts of things, you can make it very, very quiet. Last time I visited Chicago, I stayed right in a hotel that was right next to the elevated, outside the window, their commuter rail, which was noisy as everything when you were outside. Inside, you couldn't hear a thing.
Amazing.
And that the technology, what they can do. And yeah, so when you get to the southern side, you have some resident, you have single-family zoning, and then you also have the higher density zoning. You have the RMF 16 zones. Again, depending on where you are. Over here, for instance, over here, but then you have an R10 that's over here, and this is the GM dealer. So that's the Chevy dealers there. So we have a lot to think about, because we have these decent-sized parcels. The brown ones obviously are the smallest of the parcels, but a majority are in the greens. And again, what I provided you is sort of, and when it's working, it's making you think. It's the foundation to make people think. Right off the bat, when we look at just under new construction multifamily buildings, we've got to make a determination of what do you want for a front yard. Devon, we wanted 0 because, well, there are a lot of properties were built right up to the property line in the front. Here, you may want something different, or you may want the 0. I don't know, but it's.
Yeah, I don't think the 0 makes sense there, because it's never going to be that sort of a downtown or a downtown village feel. It's going to be something different. We're hoping it's going to be.
It could be a boulevard, though. Never say it's like,
Yeah, never say never.
Never say never, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think it would sort of take somebody to come in and buy all the property and do it, in one swell swoop or fell swoop. Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, I think, like you say, that it's really a whiteboard that we are permitting people to draw on. Not our total decisions on what to do, but just what do we wish to allow and see what the market, and what we don't want to see, right? So that's where we can give the developers enough to go on.
Well, one thing to think about with zero or something very small is one of the things that's appealing about, downtown is, you have that interaction with the public space, the sidewalks, and with the buildings closer to the road, you hide the other things that you don't want interacting with the public, like having the parking in the back, or having that green space be more private in the back, just as an example. And every property is going to be different and the design will be different, but I mean, as a general sort of something to think about, since we're creating this, a menu perhaps of options and, like you said, a blank slate. Just something else to think about. Is this the zone where, do we want a 30-foot front yard that's green and then everything is hiding, behind the green? Or do you want people to be forward, interact, since we had a discussion about that earlier, and, hide those other things, in the back? Don't know. I guess it'll depend on each individual plan or proposal.
So one thing that we can do is spend some time individually on this and send recommendations into David and task him with putting together a matrix for us to see what the ideas are, and have another session with just us to whittle it down to not text that we want to run down the road with, but then have a public exploration, not like a public hearing, but invite some developers, invite some community activists, and just all interested people to come, give them a chance to see this and see what we have. And then it gets complicated the more people in the kitchen, the soup gets tough, but I think we owe it to the public to listen to them. They will have more than one bite at the apple if we have a public discussion session, and then we come up with some language from what we've done, what they contribute, then we circulate it, and then we have a public hearing again. So, and we might have more than one public hearing, but hopefully just one. But if people want to keep discussing it now, I'm fine. If people want to spend some time thinking about it and come back at the next meeting, having sent David any edits that they would like to add to this, either adds, subtractions, or adjustments.
I think that we should call an evening tonight, but one thing that would be helpful, Dave, great start here is paginate. That's more helpful than trying to find 13, 5, 62, Z, X, Y, and A. So if we have another page, that might be helpful.
Okay.
Understood, that's a good idea.
Just to echo Mr. Sadie's comments, thank you very much for putting this together.
Okay, if we're happy with little Kaizen, making a little progress here tonight, then we can ask staff for a report.
None this evening?
Okay. Without objection, we're adjourned.